Say good evening to my general public. I know you listening. Tune in to leave you informed on how to get dividends. You politicking with the say you politicking with permiss. Authentic originators, others are counterfeit.
Absolutely. 533 live here on the WOLB 1010 AM Politic with Permiss. Live coming through your speakers right now. 410-481-1010. 410-481-1010 outside the area. 877-704-1010. 877-704-1010. Stream live WOLBbaltimore.com. WOLBbaltimore.com.
All right. Well, we are back into our conversation about the reputation of hip hop. One thing that Swen was leaving off was about paperwork and how having your business in order, you know, is going to propel you from the regional to the national stage. And speaking of the national stage, we have somebody from a really great website that is the #1 source of hip hop, allhiphop.com. On the line, we have with us writer Seandra Sims. How you doing, Seandra?
Hey, how's everything?
Fine. How are you?
All right.
Great. Thank you for joining us on Politic with Permiss today. You came highly recommended by our very own boss man. How are you today?
I'm great, and I wanted to say I am a writer for All Hip Hop. I'm also the managing editor for allhiphop.com. So I get to travel around the country and meet really great people like Boss Man, and I just was in Baltimore a few weeks ago enjoying your city and the rap scene there.
Awesome. Well, shout out to Jamila and Chuck Creekmore. I've met them before. They're wonderful folks. But we were just leaving off with the topic of a part of the conversation was the reputation of hip hop, and we were speaking on the topic of making sure that regional, not just regional artists, but artists overall, make sure that they have their business in order. There was a person that had mentioned to me in a situation where a slogan or something that was a part of their brand as an artist was being used by somebody else. But when they were questioned about if they had any real legal ownership of that brand or that slogan, they really didn't have it, and they complained about it. So, I mean, what are your opinions on what artists are doing nowadays and what they can do to get themselves together?
Well, what I see now is that a lot of artists are handling their own business.
Mm-hmm.
As you all know, the industry is changing a lot. A lot of people are opting for the independent route as the only way that they'll go. They're not looking to be supported by a major label. And I think when you see people trying to become more independent, you're going to see them trying to figure out how to do things on their own. And we don't always cross our T's and dot our I's when we try to do things on our own. So I think it's definitely important for you to be able to, number one, protect your name, your music, you know, your art, and also to make sure that the people around you are equally protective of it. You see a lot of people get their stuff leaked now, and anybody knows that if for it to be leaked, it had to come from someone internally because the rest of us don't have access to it.
Exactly.
And so I think it's really important to get your business in order and also to make sure people around you have integrity and are really, you know, out to have your back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Al, what's your opinion?
Well, honestly, I feel like artists not really having a handle on the business and maybe getting swindled by the industry, that's a story that's as old as, you know, recorded music itself. It's not really unique to hip-hop. I mean, it's definitely taken new forms. But you go back to the whole history of the music industry, and basically, you know, musicians generally, you know, they're not necessarily people that are good with paperwork or with business or contracts. So a lot of times they, you know, trust those issues to someone else, and it never turns out good for them usually. So, I mean, that's something that's definitely prevalent in hip-hop, but it's not new to hip-hop.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, I wanted to actually direct a question to you because I know that you've written so many, you've heard so much music from individuals out of our area, and you've written so many and provided opinions. I wanted you to talk a little bit about to our listeners about what your experience has been in the hip hop community, and especially with you being a music journalist, a critic, and, you know, different situations that have come from you meeting artists and them reacting to your writings.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've dealt with a lot of people firsthand or just heard their music and written about it. Generally, more often than not, I feel like people are pretty open to, you know, when they're just starting out, they appreciate, you know, any kind of feedback, and obviously they prefer if it's good, not bad. But But for the most part, I think people have a good attitude about it. And really, again, some people are more about the music. Some people have their business together. Some don't. And honestly, to me, I think it's kind of funny when people worry about, their brand and copyrighting different phrases and stuff. Because honestly, it's like there's so many people making this music right now that it's so hard to be original. And some people, they'll try to brand something that, anyone could have had the idea. Mm-hmm. Or they literally will have an idea that a dozen other people had, or they'll have a name that someone else has. They'll have a song with a chorus that sounds just like someone else's, or a beat that sounds like just someone else's. Mm-hmm. They want to make it as if, they own that idea and no one else can use it when, it's just in the air.
Right, absolutely.
So people shouldn't get mad if somebody else doesn't know their name, huh? Right? I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I mean, people really shouldn't get mad.
Konshens, what's your opinion, Konshens?
With regards to having your paperwork straight and all that.
Yeah.
Well, the first thing I was given when I uttered out my mouth to my uncles that I was interested in music, he gave me 3 books, and all of them were the business of music. They were like different variations of the business of music.
Uh-huh.
And the second thing he told me to do was just along the lines of copywriting, making sure trademarking your name, and just the ins and outs of just the basis of having everything straight. A lot of artists these days don't even have that. They make up a name, and then all of a sudden I'm a rapper, and I go in my closet studio and cut a record, and I write on it with a Sharpie and charge $5 for the mixtape, and I'm a hard artist now. And if you don't know about me outside, like is that single from the said, people who don't recognize other artists, you have a lot of artists that are self-proclaimed icons and have done nothing.
Right.
And as opposed to sitting back and taking advice and actually wanted to learn the business and moving towards that, they get hung up in the whole thing of the hot rapper is supposed to be a millionaire in the next 6 months.
Right.
And how they go from local or regional to worldwide stardom. They have no idea of that process between point A and point B. And I think a lot of artists these days, man, they just have no knowledge whatsoever outside of dropping a high 16 and having some swag.
Well, it actually brings me to my our next segment, and I think we all in here, some way, shape, form, or fashion, work with indie artists. Whether you're behind the scenes, whether you're a producer, whether you're an MC. Years ago, if you cut a hot record, if you didn't have the inside sources, you had to knock down Russell's door. You had to stand outside Sony. You had to catch Steve Rifkin going to Starbucks, to get to at least hand them your CD to say, take a look at my material. Most artists these days feel as though once you get in the door, that's it. Especially if somebody's giving me $90,000, $100,000 for an advance, I'm going to buy me cars, jewelry, everything. So does it get easier when you get in, or does it get harder?
Can I touch that?
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
From having seen what happens in order to get in.
Go ahead.
It's called the music business. Before the business, it was always music.
That's right.
And one of the things that all young artists don't concentrate on is perfecting their craft.
Exactly.
And in order to perfect your craft, you got to do all of the talent shows. You got to do all of the rec show. There is no shortcut. Mm-hmm. I'm just reminded of the fact that Travis is having an event with a whole bunch of local talent, a couple of national talent, but he's providing a really good venue for local talent this Sunday. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of situation. That's the kind over Coppin. That's the kind of situation where local talent can see others and can see where they are mm-hmm. and where they have to go.
Exactly.
See, nobody jumps on the scene and all of a sudden it's boom. Because if it happens like that, I guarantee you, it's the difference between recording and being a recording artist.
That's right.
And being a performing artist. And let me tell you what the difference are. Right now, Frankie Beverly and Mays get $75,000 on a Monday night. They haven't had a new record out in 15 years.
Boom.
Okay, there's a difference between being a recording artist and a performing artist.
Right.
In order to get to being a performing artist, you have to perfect your craft.
That's right.
Now, the other thing about the soups to nuts in terms of how they get in, that whole paradigm has changed. Whatever the music business was, I'm here to tell you, I spend 15 hours a week in the library. If people tell you what the music business is going to be from 1 year from now, I'm here to tell you they're lying. It's digital, it's transparent. The record companies can't steal. Let me say this again. They were in physical distribution. In 3 years, 85% of all music is going to be bought digitally. The record companies can't steal from the artists anymore. Their time is over. It's a new paradigm. Everybody can go on the net as an independent artist. It's all going to be about search engine optimization. I want y'all folks to write that down who are artists. It's called search engine optimization. What that is how to bring eyeballs to where you are. And I'll just give you an example, and then I'll shut up.
It's Google me.
Little Mama was broken on sandboxtv.net. Lipstick. She was an internet artist. A guy from Def Jam took her and her father down to Jive, signed a contract. They were in a smashing and grabbing. Jive took 8 months to put together her album, and in the 9th month, they threw the album out, and in the first week, they only sold 15,000 units. They went back to the internet folks who broke her and said, we want y'all to market her. And the internet folks said, she's got a little whack juice on her right now. We don't want no part of that. And that career is now in the toilet. A young girl, 16 years old, who came out with a hot first single, and then they went to the record companies, all-knowing, albeit record companies, who don't know jack nothing about marketing over the net, and they took a L. And all I'm saying is, for people to try and run into Steve Riff, the whole thing with the record company right now, you got every little A&R director, he wants to be Puffy. He wants to be the next Puffy. He's trying to sign artists to his boutique situation, under his management, under his production company, and the music never reaches the people who gonna cut a check. Let me say that again. It ain't never gonna reach the people that cut a check. Steve Rifkin don't know about rap music. He know about marketing. He got somebody in the mailroom who's telling him what's hot.